Hello and welcome to Loving Yourself with Serena C. And today my guest is Rita Mangan, or some may know her as Rita 𝙁𝙤𝙀𝙀. Both beautiful names. Now, if you're in the wellness, world, or the can I say yogi world? The wellness, health,
yoga world, yeah.
Yoga world, you would know who she is. I actually got introduced to you by my friend, our very good friend 𝙁𝙤𝙀𝙀. It's very strange how the universe works, because the other day I was compiling people to come on Loving Yourself. And I was like, I really need someone to talk to me about how their lives transformed, and how nutrition and gut health and all that came into play. And on that day itself, I opened one of 𝙁𝙁𝙀𝙀's stories. There she was. Rita Mangan was there. And you weren't even talking about nutrition. You were just in the car singing, because you were inspired by 𝙁𝙁𝙀𝙀. You see how the world brings people together.
That's
and
so
of
true.
course, I went to 𝙁𝙁𝙀 because look at her, she's beautiful. And I said, who is this person? Why do I need to get to know her? And then everything aligned, and this happened. I DM'd Rita and I said, you must come on the show, because, you need to share your story. Obviously, I found out about her amazing journey that you need to know about. And that is how we are here now. Rita Mangan is here to tell us about how she went from an extremely corporate world to where she is today, helping people, in a gist, right? Helping people be happier.
Yes,
which is
right.
basically what this podcast is about. Welcome, Rita.
Thank you for having me. It's such a pleasure to be here.
We've got so much to talk about. This is not a one episode thing, okay? But to start with, in short, give us a timeline of how you went from full corporate to now full, wow, what are you full now? You full life, pro happiness.
Yeah, I guess I'm helping people feel better.
That's it.
So, I guess I did the thing everyone did, school, university, corporate world. And it was mainly in marketing and advertising. But throughout all the jobs I had, I was always helping people to either exercise or eat better. Those are the things people would ask me.
Even though you were in the corporate world, where you were at one point, she was in advertising, where your job was mainly to sell cars and sell commercial things. You felt like that was not your calling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it was fun, definitely. Like working in the environment with colleagues and friends and going to events at night. Yes, definitely fun. But there was something deep inside that I felt like it wasn't right. Like, why am I doing this? I just didn't feel happy, but felt happier when people asked me, how do I lose weight? And not that I never really knew how to answer back then. Then I switched. I made the switch. I left Malaysia, went to England to do a course in personal training. Initially, I wanted to do nutrition first, but it was a bit too expensive and too long, like 3 years back to school. So I did personal training first and learned a little bit about nutrition. And then my life kind of changed when I went into hospital 6 months after working in a gym.
Before we proceed with more personal training and how the nutrition course went, what exactly happened?
It just started with a massive stomach ache.
Stomach
Ache,
okay.
yeah. I was on the bus going to visit my sister and to get the train, actually. And I didn't kind of make it to the train station because the pain was so bad that I couldn't even walk off the bus. This lady next to me helped me carry my weekend bag off the bus. And then I couldn't walk anymore. And she said, do you need an ambulance? And I think for the first time I was like, yes. Because all this time, when you've got period cramps or stomach ache and whatever, bloating, we just deal with it, right? But this one I just knew, I think no paracetamol or ibuprofen was gonna...
So it was like a pain like no other, because we've all had period pain. It's not like a period pain.
Not at all.
Okay.
Good. It was like no other.
Okay.
Then an ambulance was going to take half an hour, and I was like, I can't wait that long. So I jumped into a taxi. She put me in. It was the most painful ride to the hospital.
Okay.
I kind of managed to say my name, sat in the lobby, in the waiting area. I was like, oh my God, so many people. When am I going to be seen?
Did you feel like fainting at any point?
Well, coincidentally, I just got called straight in to be asked, what are my symptoms?
Yeah.
As she was asking me, I just vomited.
Oh.
Just vomited everywhere. And I could
Okay.
see my breakfast just as it looked like in the bowl. It was still perfectly.
Right, intact.
Yeah, so I guess they knew then, like, something was wrong, something hadn't been digested,
Right.
and I went straight through emergency, and they just did tests and tests and tests. It was like 10 hours of x-rays, CAT scan, blood tests, urine
Right.
samples.
And
couldn't
eventually
figure
they
out.
found out, no, they
Well, they
didn't
had
find
to
out.
cut me open first. Then they
Yikes.
found out that my intestines had twisted.
Oh, God.
Yeah, so
What do you call that? Is
it's
there
called
a
a
name for it?
volvulus.
Volvul-
Volvulus.
Volvulus, just so you know.
Yeah.
And how does that happen?
They still don't know.
Oh.
It could, usually happens in kids and, like 5-year-olds and
That
the
are not
elderly.
fully developed
Yeah,
yet.
but also the elderly. Because this is why the surgeon was asking if I'd had a history sort of in the family. If anyone had constipation issues or any tummy issues. I didn't know.
Okay.
Apart from my sister, but probably shouldn't divulge anymore in case she watches this.
Why not? Let's share. If you're okay with it.
Yeah, well, I think a lot of us have this problem,
Yes.
actually. Now that I talk to friends about it, like, we need to have movement,
Right.
bowel movement every day, and
Yeah.
she wasn't having bowel movement every day.
Oh, was she dismissing that?
Yeah, I guess it's just put it down to like constipation. Sitting
Yeah.
down a lot. That's a lot of our days now. We sit down a lot. Maybe we do. She drinks a lot of water, but maybe it wasn't enough fiber. At the moment, it seems to be that it seems to be from fiber. And
So-
it wasn't that, I didn't have that problem. I was going every day. I was very active.
Okay.
I love my vegetables. I love my fruits.
So basically, this was unexplainable, and they
Yeah.
didn't know what happened. What
No.
happened after that? They had to cut. I remember.
Yeah, they had to cut a lot, like 2 meters. 2 meters of
How
it.
long is that? 5 meters, I think, total.
We've got about 7.
5 to 7.
So
And
7
then
to
you-
8, depending on like our size and.
Okay,
kind
so they cut out like 20%
lot.
of your intestines.
So, although they said I'd be okay, I wasn't. I was having diarrhea, like about 5, 6, 7 times a day.
But of course, you just cut out a part of your tummy.
Yeah, I know.
What was the recovery period like?
Well, physically, I think I was like, I wanted to forget about it. Like, I want to recover as soon as I can. Because I'd only started this personal training journey, and I just got new clients, and I wanted to see them. I took a month off work. My sister's looking after me. But I tried to ignore what happened. Although my sister's like, she kept reminding me, you've just had parts of your organs removed.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. I'll be fine. So I just kind of tried to forget about it. I'll be fine. They've sewn me back together. Although there are some days I'm like crawling up the stairs because, I've just had another session in the toilet and it's so painful.
Right.
But yeah, tried to get on with life and forget about it.
What were the doctor's advice like
So,
afterwards?
After
To take
a
care.
month,
Yes.
a month, I had a checkup and I just said I was fine. I didn't know anything else.
Okay.
Because I was taking a medication, it was just codeine. It was
Right.
just codeine, and which is a painkiller.
Right.
But as a sort of a side effect of codeine is constipation. So it was helping me in a way that I'd only go 4 times a day.
But this is counterproductive then, because
Yeah.
it's just stopping the diarrhea, but it's not making your
That's
stomach
right.
better.
No.
Okay, that's when you went into nutrition to
Yeah,
learn more
a
about.
little bit later
Yeah.
on, because I think after about 6 months, or maybe nearly 9 months actually, it really then hit me that I'm like, oh my God, what just happened?
Yeah.
It then hit me, I think emotionally,
Yeah.
and then I had to see a doctor to then seek further help, like more like talking therapy, because I think even the doctor didn't know what to do.
Basically, the doctor sent you home with painkillers and asked you to move on with life,
Yeah.
with no changes to your diet or, to take care of your gut health.
No.
And you woke up by yourself to realize that this needs to be done.
Yeah.
And so after that, nutrition course started, or?
Yes, it started a lot later. Like, although I was teaching myself, I would experiment with food. Like, I had safe foods like chicken, rice or chicken pasta and broccoli. So I'd stick to the safe foods, whichever food that wouldn't make me go to the toilet
Baby food.
so often. Yeah, baby food, okay. Occasionally it'll be like a tub of hummus because I'm trying to think about what to eat. A pizza, I knew I had to have some greens because being a personal trainer, I'm always getting people to eat their greens. So I'll just put some rocket leaves on top of this vegetarian pizza. But because my bowels were moving so much, I wasn't retaining the nutrients. And only later on, probably about 4 years after the operation, I was then given the right medication.
4 years?
Yeah, test after test, yeah.
Wow, that's a long time. So in between you suffered?
Yeah, because I was in between, I had like, I did go into hospital for food getting stuck in my intestines because the part that they sewed together had a lot of like scar tissue. Right. So food got stuck there one day. I had to go to the hospital. I was just like shaking, going hot and cold, hot and cold. So then food had to be sucked out through my nose. And then the gastroenterologist gave me loperamide.
Which is?
It's the ingredient in Imodium. Imodium's the brand,
Imodium.
and loperamide's the medication.
Right. Imodium, the one that stops you from going to the toilet too much.
Yeah.
Okay.
So again, it was doing what codeine did.
Yes.
So slowing down the digestion process. Then I'd go like maybe 3 or 4 times a day. But then I would notice that if I get stressed, I could eat the same thing today as yesterday. But if I'm stressed today, I'd have diarrhea. And I just couldn't understand. So whenever something happened, like a client cancelled on me, I was like, okay, stay calm, don't get stressed, breathe, don't let this affect me because it would affect.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, but, well, imagine you're in the middle of a personal training session and you have to go 3 times.
Yes, it happens. And occasionally, some clients are very understanding. They're like, off you go. So do 100 squats till I come back.
Okay, so it's debilitating. 4 years before you got it right. My God.
So I'm given cholestyramine, which is what I take now. But I've learned over the time to take it away from food because what cholestyramine does is stick to bile acids. And bile acid is quite crucial to break down fat-soluble vitamins.
Yes.
So if I'm taking it too close to foods, then I can't break down fat-soluble vitamins and I can't absorb certain vitamins that are fat-soluble, like A, D, E, and K. And I think that's what made me tired. So instead of taking the medication right after food, I take it away, as far away from food as possible. So I think I learned that when I was on these like Facebook forums, Facebook groups, and kind of experimenting from what people have said in the group. Some people hate the medication, it tastes awful. It tastes awful, but it helps me.
But that is so much to digest. Figuratively, but you know what I mean? There is so much to take in. How many hours before food are you supposed to take, and what kind of food?
That was the thing causing me anxiety as well. Like, I'm like, if a friend, before that medication, when a friend was offering me food, here, have a biscuit. I'm like, wait a minute, no, I've just gone to the toilet. No, I'll take it now, but I'll eat it in 2 hours because I've just had medication. It was awful. And then when friends invited me out for a pizza night, I'm like, well, wait a minute, I'm not sure. And I have to make excuses. And then you don't have friends anymore. And then I just felt really lonely in London and I just moved there.
So how is it now, many years later?
Oh, I've just learned to be me and to be okay with what I need. Learning and being okay with saying no, so self-love in a way. Because I was always saying yes because you want to fit in. I've always had that life of trying to fit in. Wherever I've moved to, whichever country I've lived in, is always trying to fit in.
Right. So it's okay to say no. Yeah. And that's what this podcast is about, loving yourself.
Yeah.
Before you get to love anybody else. And if they're your real friends, they will take no with grace. So with that, you've moved on to nutrition studies, which took another how many years?
So before doing the nutrition course, I actually did yoga first because I was mentally in a bad place. Doing CBT, cognitive behavioral therapy. It was mainly to make me be aware of my thoughts. These thoughts that I was having about myself and even about people, especially family, that they weren't true. It was just in my head. And I think the operation or the trauma I went through uprooted a lot of childhood issues. And I think that I needed to speak to the therapist about that. Then, through my housemate, I met a woman who was a therapist who suggested me to do meditation.
Right.
I was like, oh, well, that's didn't really think that was yoga, although I was doing yoga.
Yeah.
I was doing more yoga for the physical sense, the handstands, the split.
Yes.
But then because of my operation, I'd stopped yoga because my abdominals was healing. When I did the meditation, this app, I felt so much better. It was mainly about gratitude and like looking in the mirror and picking parts of yourself that you love. And like, I've never done that before. And then giving yourself, saying these affirmations that love yourself, loving others. The guide on the app would say, imagine someone, imagine my little nephew, talk to him like you would yourself, It was so simple. It was just 30 days.
That's very interesting.
Yeah, and I think after that, I then wanted to learn more about this philosophy of yoga. Then I did this yoga teacher training just to learn more about the philosophy. Didn't really think I would teach.
Right.
Because again, I didn't think I was good enough to teach because I can't do handstands, I can't do the splits. So then, as part of the course, you had to teach to pass your exam. So I had to practice to teach. I was practicing on my clients, on my friends, and then in the end, I'm teaching.
Well, see now, that leads me to believe like some things are just meant to be, like how we were meant to meet. You were meant to teach.
Yeah.
Just like you were meant to teach, leave the corporate world without you even knowing. And then after you left, I mean, now would you say you are loving yourself more in this space?
So much more.
Give me a job description, if you have one, of what you do now. I mean, do you still personal train? You're a yoga teacher. What else do you do?
My God. So personal training, teaching yoga classes, help people kind of lose weight, shall I say?
Oh.
Lose weight. So that's through nutrition.
Right.
If they're far away, like I have a client in Johor, we'd see each other on Zoom, do an exercise.
How do you Zoom? I mean, how do you Zoom and monitor them?
So we're kind of, she's telling me what she's eating every day.
Oh, I see.
So Zoom is just for the exercises, and she's updating me on how much weight she loses and how she feels. So we try different things. So it's been about 4 months. So she's lost the weight, which is great, but now she's like, oh, all my joints hurt, certain things. So she's taking things like anti-inflammation, like things like turmeric, and whatever works for her. And sometimes after a while, she realizes it doesn't work and tries something else.
I see. Okay, so personal training, still a bit.
Yeah.
Yoga, and you can find her. Is it just Hippie Hubs, or are you
Just at Hippie Hub.
Just at Hippie Hubs? Watch out, Hippie Hubs. Atilia, we're coming for you. Hippie Hubs, personal training, Zoom calls, consulting when it comes to nutrients. Is that correct?
So I've done in the past, probably like 3 or 4 years now.
Yes.
I still do, just haven't done for a while now. It's called 𝙁𝙤𝙬𝙧 which is
I was getting to that.
Yeah, it's an online coaching program. So that's how people, it's this community in a WhatsApp group. Normally about 10 people, so it gets too much if there's the large numbers. And people update me with what they're eating in the morning, lunchtime, dinner time, and then how they feel when they wake up.
And this is free?
This was about 50 ringgit for 3 weeks.
And this is through your YouTube channel?
So I would do it in January and in June, but this year I've just been a bit busy. So I've not done the second one. So maybe I'll do it in August.
But this is something you'll find out through your Instagram?
Instagram,
Okay.
yeah.
So everything is linked to her Instagram, everything that Rita Mangan does.
And it's not like a diet, because diets don't work.
Yes.
Because diets work for a while and then you go back to your normal life. But in a way you need to change your normal life so that it works with your life. So
deep, but I get it.
Yeah.
No, that brings us to our next episode, actually, because we are going to tackle all of these diet versus supplements versus vitamins versus mental health, everything in the next episode.
But the 𝙁𝙤𝙬𝙧, there was actually 15 challenges throughout the 3 weeks or 4 weeks, depending on how I feel.
How she feels.
So there's 1 week where I tell them to go without meat or meat and chicken.
So you set the 15 challenges.
Yeah,
Okay,
so just actually the first week I tell them to eat more. More vegetables, more variety. And then the second week, there's a little bit more exercise and sleeping more. The third week is a little bit more connection. There's that mental health aspect to it.
Right.
Like perhaps connect with someone you haven't connected with for a while.
So they do this on their own.
They do it on their own, yeah.
Them.
So they're,
Okay.
they're their own
Monitors.
Yeah, you have to be, because I can't hold your hands forever.
Yes.
It's just 3 weeks or 1 month. And the final week was actually last year, was meant to be no meat, no chicken, but it fell on 𝙁𝙤𝙬𝙧.
Lovely.
So I was like, I'm so sorry, I can't let you do this because it's torture. Because it's life, right?
Yes, of
𝙁𝙤𝙬𝙧,
course.
like you have to do. So I said to them, like, just be as normal. We'll just postpone it to after 𝙁𝙤𝙬𝙧, do the week. So those that did it, I had them maintained for 2 or 3 weeks, and they felt so much better.
Okay.
But they've probably gone back to eating meat and all that. That was last year.
I see. Okay, so out of all your chabaran since what, 2020?
2021, I think.
Okay, so 2021, that's 3 years of, my math sucks, 3 years of that.
Yeah.
What would
So
you
6
say-
rounds. I think I've had
yeah.
6 groups, 6
Yeah,
cohorts.
what would you say the success rate is with your participants?
Well, I would say it's about 30%, 30 or 40%.
30%
Yeah.
success rate.
Yeah, because again, it's a small group, so
Yes.
let's say 8 to 10 people.
Right.
And at least 3 to 4 people would feel so good and then would join the next one, actually.
Okay.
Yeah, many have joined the sort of the second group. Because every 6 months, you sort of need that reminder again. It's that accountability, right? And I think we all need it. I need it too. That's why I have to book classes.
Yes. No, accountability and what's the word? Consistency.
Yeah, and the community as well. So
Community.
you've promised your friend you're going to meet her there at the
Yeah.
class. You'll try to make it.
Yep.
Yeah. So the one that really wanted to change will change. If their why, the reason for changing is strong enough, they will stay on it. But there are some that are like, oh, a little bit here, a little bit
Yeah.
there. Like when I said, okay, no coffee before 12, sorry, after 12. And that's quite hard. For them,
Yeah.
it's their joy. But if they really want to change and sleep better, you'll have to stop that coffee and replace it with a caffeine-free drink.
Yeah, but the reason you signed up for the chabaran is, I mean, your why better be strong, you
Yeah.
know? Why you want to join the chabaran. Okay, so we have that. Is there anything else that you do that I did not cover? I think that's about it.
That's about it.
Maybe future podcasters, she did say she might want to venture into podcasting to talk about, okay, if you had your podcast channel right now, sell it. What would it be about?
I think it would be how you change your life.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
So you can come back to my podcast after that. You know, are you loving yourself better after changing?
That's right.
You see? Interlinked. So I wanted to introduce Rita Mangan first in this episode, because in the next episode, then we'll tackle all those topics we want to talk about, because there are so many things about nutrition and products that are in the market that are saturated, that confuse the hell out of people, isn't it?
No,
So we'll tackle that next. But to conclude this episode, let's touch on the mental aspect of it, because obviously after you left the corporate world, mentally you're in a better place. You said that, right? I mean, financially, are we okay?
Financially, I'll be honest, no.
You see, but you know, okay, but that's the gamble right there, right? Would you gamble that, you know, to be financially less stable to reach
Yeah.
a better place? Because a lot of even Generation Z people now, I mean, especially Gen Z people right now, they are prioritizing their self, you know,
Yeah.
a lot more than working.
Yeah.
Maybe some of them a lot more than they should.
Yeah.
So do you think, you know, it's worth a gamble?
Definitely, because I think if you have been thinking about it for so long, you'll regret it. You have to try.
Do what makes you happy,
Yeah.
right? But also on the other hand, the people who, how do you say, champion work over physical or mental health, you know, what do you have to say to that? You know, because obviously our generation of people are taught to work, you know?
Yeah.
And then, okay, the mental aspect comes with it. You deal with it how you want, but you need to work.
Yeah.
So what would you say to these believers?
I think find something that brings you joy. If you have to work, that kind of corporate work,
Yes.
do something that gives you that sense of purpose. Maybe something on the weekends, if it's voluntary, or if it's just going to do a bit of painting or cleaning the streets, getting to know your neighbors. Just do it. Don't forever think about it.
Yeah. And I found a great example just yesterday, because I'm on Instagram so much, I have no life. I found an influencer. No, you've got purpose. I found an influencer who's also in the corporate world. So she teaches fitness on the side. So she found, I think it may not be very easy for everybody to find their why very easily, because we are so programmed to just work or just be a mother or whatever.
And sort of live for the weekends or live for the nights.
Or, if you're a stay-at-home mom, sometimes I was a stay-at-home mom for the longest time until I came back to the set. So I found an influencer who's also a corporate magnate who's found, I would say, as close as you can get to work-life balance. So I really look up to you. I'll probably get her on the podcast as well to find out how she, balances that. So, it is possible.
It is possible. I mean, not to say personal training life was all hunky-dory. I had burnouts as well. My colleagues had burnouts because we'd have clients in the morning before they go to the office, and we'd have clients in the evening before they go home. So it depends. But yeah, we'd have burnouts. We'd try to make ends meet as well, and also live our life in London, in this kind of happening city, should I say. But sometimes, for me, I just had to stay inside and just be with myself and cook a lot because eating out was just, sometimes not good for me.
Yep.
But then, when I did my yoga course, started to teach yoga in offices, that's when I realized this is actually what I wanted all along.
There you go. Oh, that also, Atelia does that as well. I'll just bring Atelia next time.
Yeah.
A lot of companies engage yoga teachers to come in to encourage their personnel to be more in touch. And I love that about what is happening in the world now.
I'm so glad it's what's happening now.
Yes.
To be fair, when I was in that advertising agency or marketing agency, after the Olympics 2012, and we did office Olympics where we'd kind of race with each other in the teams and who can answer the phone the fastest, and we'd have people pushing office chairs. Okay, it was quite fun at the time.
Yeah.
Then that triggered for the office to bring in a yoga teacher, and then I realized that's what I wanted. But because of me not believing in myself to teach yoga, I went down the personal training route to help people lose weight, because thinking that would make you feel happy. But then later learned that it's also what we eat and how we talk to ourselves is what actually makes you happy.
So another avenue for Rita, if your company is hiring, for the next retreat or whatnot, there's a yoga teacher and a nutritionist right there. And that just touched on a different point as well. If you need a speaker, we got speakers. Less anxiety, that's something I want to get into. Eventually, I'll talk to you about it. How to help people in the workplace lessen their anxieties through, breath work and whatnot. Hey, maybe I'll be your next guru. You never know. But Rita Mangan first. Let's focus on her. Okay, you already know what she does. I just concluded that for you. Thank you for the first episode to get to know Rita Mangan. So to wrap it up, on a scale of 1 to 10, how much are you loving yourself more now after leaving the corporate world?
A lot more. A lot more. I'm even embracing my gray hair. Can you see?
I love it. Natural is the way. Look
so
at that.
7 years ago, I started dyeing it because blonde, because it was the closest color to gray.
Yeah.
It was from dyeing it brown, I guess. So it's hereditary. My mom is part African, quarter African, so I guess it's in the genes. But anyway, I'm embracing it. I'm embracing my, folds and my scar and whatever, my hairy armpits. Embracing it all, Gwyneth Paltrow.
Okay. She has no flaws. Look at that face. No, but thank you very much for the first episode. I'm glad you're loving yourself a lot more. And we will see you again very soon. Keep it tuned here on Loving Yourself with Serena C.